please welcome to the stage Puneet Awasthi, Senior Director who leads specialized research services at Kantar, including media measurement and research services for B2B, technology and life sciences. He also serves as the Vice President for MRSI. Please put your hand together for Puneet.
Thanks a lot. It was a wonderful session. I'm personally very energized. There were so many important questions that were kind of literally posed. About audiences and how audiences are getting fragmented. There was a very interesting aspect about the fact that the audiences are fairly engaged if the content is right as such, and they can kind of watch things at a stretch for long periods of time. And yet at the same time, we are also seeing fairly sharp decay in engagement levels for communication as such, and the fact that there is what Shobhadeep mentioned, 2 in 5 odd are not watching the ad as such. So there are very interesting questions for this entire industry of media and audiences therefore. And audiences clearly are there. They will keep evolving in terms of the formats that they're going to be consuming. After all, we all need entertainment and we need information. So that's really this entire discussion as such that's just concluded has really set the stage for a very interesting session. I personally am very energized and looking forward to hearing from doyens of the audience measurement industry and the media industry overall. We've got Mr. Shashi Sinha. He is the chairman, CEO of IPG Mediabrands, and we've got Dolly, who's going to be assisting Shashi. So please welcome Shashi and Dolly on stage.
You know, amongst my various weaknesses, one of my strengths is I recognize my limitations. So when Mithali and Shobhadeep reached out to me, do something on, peek into the future, well, I realized that, I need a partner in crime. And while I can give whatever, but someone who knows it best is Dolly. Dolly's been the research side. She now works with us in BARC. So I thought I roped her in. I first said, help me crafting it. So she helped me craft the presentation. Then gradually I said, listen, why don't we, do it together? And then finally outside I told her, maybe you should make the presentation and I should hang around there. So that's how it's going to pull out. But, that's my strength. So get the right talent, get them to go. But I will kick it off. You have the clicker with you? So I think more than the peek into the future, we're going to talk about whatever I have learned is, I'm not being from this fraternity. I don't understand anything about research. But, amazingly so for the last 20 odd years, there's every industry measurement body I've been involved with, whether it is Audit Bureau Circulation, whether it's MRUC, whether it's BARC, so there must be something there where they say probably this guy doesn't get research, so that's the best guy to be involved, and therefore I have a ringside view. And more than that, I'm going to share my experiences and get Dolly to talk about where we see. So you saw the previous panel talking about this is, and we all Indians, we see it, we take it naturally. But assure you, compared to most markets in the world, this is a truly fragmented market. Not only is it fragmented, it's multimedia. There's almost all kinds of, the numbers are obvious, but, and this has happened very fast. In this country, compared to the rest of the world, it's happened over the last 10, 15 years. So the CPMs are very low, and therefore it, becomes that much more difficult. If you compare with CPMs all over the world, this is perhaps one of the lowest CPM markets, which has its attendant challenges. Very good for advertisers, Chandra smiling, very good for advertisers, but overall, for the ecosystem, when you're making investments in research or investment in measurement, there is an issue. So I think, and Dolly speak about it later, there are many, because the industry evolved at a particular pace, many things started simultaneously. So there are panel-based surveys, one of them which we run, the BARC, the Broadcast Audience Research Council, which we've been running. The survey-based, the leadership survey, hopefully it'll kick off now. I hear the good news that, we're getting going. Hopefully the survey will start and maybe the data will be out in 8-9 months or so. And the census-based, the government is lacking at this point in time in the census. Again, that's starting, but the platforms are doing census-based. So in my view, there is a tremendous desire for unification. There are many bodies doing different things. And from this platform, I want to make an appeal to all the advertisers in the room. You have a critical role to play. I keep saying this to people like Shobhadeep. I'm saying it to everyone here. Finally, it's your money which is being utilized and spread. So all you guys, while a lot of you participate in the surveys in terms of giving your time and energy and effort, but there's a lot more you can do. You need control. Today, because the way the money comes in, the control lies with the publishers. Agencies participate, but bulk of, be it print, be it digital, be it, no offense meant, be it television, the control is with the publishers. That's the truth of the matter. And whatever my weakness, I'm known for saying it as it comes. So I'm saying it, and that control has to be rested. So, you need to come from a point of view where, listen, and I'll give 2, 3 before we Dolly go back. There are 2, 3 points I want to make on this. I want to make 2, 3 points on this and talk about it. And because to me, this is the heart of it. The future in this country is not a capability issue. It's an issue of managing stakeholders. And probably that's the reason I do the job which comes to me. So people, competence are here who do all the work. But managing stakeholders, I'll give you 2, 3 examples. So the first one is, I don't know how many of you know, and I was listening carefully to the previous panel. For the last 7 years, BARC has a 55,000 home sample at this point in time, which means about 2 lakh plus, 2 lakh 20,000, 2 lakh 30,000 individuals. And in this panel, we have created a panel which is smartphone on the digital. So we are measuring concurrent TV plus digital for about 12,000 odd individuals. So whether it's statistically valid or not, whether it needs to be loaded onto a large census database or not is immaterial. There is data which is there residing inside BARC. It needs to be corrected. Dolly, ever since she came on, did a course correction, and we are seeing some data. You'll be stunned if I tell you, everyone says, what is the interplay between a big property? I'm not going to, because there's a lot of errors, so I'm not getting into small properties, but big property like IPL, pretty robust, there is data available. And you'll be surprised if I say, so, normally everything is overstated because the newbie is always overstated. But the real numbers is television, everyone says television is phasing out. Even on IPL, time spent on television is still very high. It grows every year compared to digital. The digital time spent is very less. Yeah? The reach is very high. Digital also has a good reach. There are many, many more such stuff I can share. The fact of the matter is, because of stakeholder alignment, this data is not coming out. So there are 2. So therefore, I want to make this plea that maybe there's merit. If the advertisers say we will control it financially in many manual, it's all one. So unification is easier to say. I gave this nugget on IPL. A lot of people will not be happy, and there's a lot more we can share, but prudence demands that we be careful in what we say. So we're seeing the data. Yeah? And we're using it. I mean, in our conversations, we're seeing it. So that's the plea. So plea is, I give you another example. IRS is starting. Prasun Basu is helping us with this. Outside, he caught it of me. Very simple. We're saying, listen, when you're capturing data, why don't you capture digital consumption along with print consumption? So obviously, some members, some of the biggest publishers have objected. Now, he reached out to me. He knows fully well that I don't think about research, but he knows that I can manage the stakeholders. So he said, why don't you go and talk to the guys? I said, sure, I'll do it. So he said, what is the problem? It's so obvious. It's so obvious that you measure print and digital together. So I said, you don't get it. There's a fear in their mind that the CPMs for digital are so low compared to the CPMs for print. If you try and sell it together, it'll erode. There's another way of presenting the data. The big boys in the room who were on the table before, the YouTubes and the Facebooks of the world, will put data in a particular way. So you compete with them, just how you present. So the point I'm making, and sorry for belaboring this point, because this to me is the heart of what I'm going to say, then Dolly will take over the rest, that if you guys come together, and looking at Shobhadeep, Chandan, many others in the room, Nitya's I think not here, many of you in the room, if you to get together, say, listen, it's your money. All you need to do is giving it to us, put it on the table, create one master body, we are home and dry. It's not a capability issue. I gave these nuggets of what's happening on IRS or on BARC. I can give you many, many examples. We are ready to do a premium. Today, CTV is a big thing which is there. We are ready to launch a premium panel. It's all about, it's taken time, not because we don't have the capability. We launch a premium panel. We will measure HD. We will measure CTV. We will measure the interplay between those. So if in your home, if you're watching on HD, IPL, or if you're watching on CTV, you'll know exactly what is happening. Is there delay in aligning the stakeholders? And therefore, sorry I said the last time, if you guys get your act together and say, listen, we want to control this, they'll be in a great place. Everything else which you're going to talk in the future is, which Dolly will talk about, is incumbent on this. We will make progress, but finally to put it out. I mean, Dolly, for 2 years we've been seeing the IPL data on the TV plus digital? It's not in public space. We will, knowing me, We will ensure that some of it goes into public space. It will not become currency, but we'll ensure at least some highlights are put out. We will ensure that. But why not a currency? Why not? So over to you, Dolly.
So just want to clarify, I'm a little worker at BARC and I have been a worker for the industry. So that introduction was a little wrong introduction. I think Shashi has laid out the stage very clearly. So while this session is called, a peek into the future of audience measurement, and I'm going to be talking about some stuff, and people like Shubhadeep and Chandan will say that why are you calling it a peek? It's already happening. So maybe it's happening in bits and parts. But I think the biggest issue in front of the industry for any measurement to succeed is that there has to be stakeholder management, there has to be some give and take, and only then a successful measurement can flow. Now here, little bit of thing, why is this chart important? This chart is important that if we really need a expansive audience measurement system, we need to have data coming in from all kinds of devices, of course with consent, right? The reason I make this point is that a lot of times there is conversation which is made that we need to have a RPD integration. Of course we need to have, it's a great thought. But today, does the technology which is present, does it really allow us to have that integration? You have very few boxes in the country, a small fraction of boxes in the country which are actually RPD enabled.
I don't know if you know what she's saying. It's a big point. The government pushes us. Why don't we do return path? We also want return path. But do you know 90% or maybe 80% of the set-top boxes, chances are a lot of you have set-top boxes at home, are not RPD enabled. Return path can't flow through them. So therefore, and that's investment someone has to make. I said in the confines of the room, the new minister met the BARC team about 10 days back or 2 weeks back, and grandly said, don't worry, the government will make provide those set-top boxes with return path. Very good. If it happens, nothing like it, but I doubt very much. So there are inherent challenges which are there.
Okay. Smartphones. Now this is one device which needs to be measured. I believe there are a lot of panels in the country. I have been myself, been part of Nielsen earlier, where I have seen this panel being run very closely. Shashi talked about the single source panel that we have, multiple methods which are there. This is nothing new, right? I mean, if you are able to put a SDK at the app player, that's the best method to capture. Does that happen? The reality is it does not happen. And why does it not happen? Because platforms have these huge concerns about the fact that it is going to be impeding the app performance. There is this entire issue of privacy. Fine. We have second solution for that, which is server-to-server integration, right? You start sending us your server logs. We will ensure that that measurement happens. Even if that does not happen, you have to fall back on the panel. And I say this because there have been leading OTT publishers, really the big names in the industry, who are very clear that they don't want a SDK. They do not want a server-to-server integration, but they do want measurement in some form. And in those scenarios, there's nothing else that one can do but to rely on a panel. And there's a lot of criticism which, I have heard that in digital, if you're not doing a census-based measurement, if you're doing a panel-based measurement, how robust it is. I think all of us are really wise in this room. We all understand what are the pitfalls of doing a panel-based measurement in digital. But in the event where you do not have a census, you do not have a SDK, you don't have a server-to-server integration, what choice do you have? Connected TV, some big numbers really being floated in the industry, right? I mean, I've heard in the last 2 years, I have heard numbers ranging from 15 million to 20 million to 30 million to 40 million and upwards, correct? And my source of reference is only one. I continue to look at what is the broadband penetration in the country. And that is a number which is published by TRI. And then I hear all of these voices that is not the only means of looking at content on your big screen via streaming, right? You can also mirror your phone and things like that. Even if you put all of that together, some of the numbers which are being floating, and this is my personal view, this is not BARC's view, I do believe that the numbers look very, very inflated to be, okay? But we need to have a mechanism.
But I'll put out BARC's view. So BARC has done a baseline which Dolly in her avatar as the head of Nielsen did. That baseline was done last year, I think 2022. So how much would have grown you guys apply? The numbers are, we'll put the numbers out, hopefully in the next 2 months we'll put the baseline out. The numbers are nowhere. So you extrapolate, you're all smart guys sitting here, what would be the growth in the last 2 years? See for yourself. But the numbers are nowhere close to what is being claimed. So I heard somewhere someone saying IPL 70 million homes on CTV. I mean, it just keeps expanding. Every month, they add 10 million to it. There's nowhere close to that.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, I mean, I say it as it is, this age, you can get away by saying anything.
That's the reason you're here. Okay. Now on connected TV, so the measurement architecture is there, right? So BARC does have a measurement architecture. It is going to be a hybrid methodology. Why do I call it a hybrid methodology? Because this is going to be a fragmented viewing, except for say big properties like IPL. We are saying that we would need the viewing logs from the platform. So that's one. We will also need to have a panel of connected TV homes, right? So that we really get to know what is the profile of the home, who are the people in that home who are watching the content, plus the content which has to be measured will also have to be watermarked.
So we are most excited about this. In fact, I want to make ask for appeal for help. So I think we have got approval from our board to go. We are launching what we call a premium panel. We have ordered the meters. There'll be set meters. We are designing. I saw a couple of days back. We have designed the panel. I think all marketers are sitting here. The trick will be how to recruit premium homes. So the definition of premium homes, BARC is done. Anyone volunteers help, please do tell us how to, there can't be a better forum than this to make that appeal. Do help us how to recruit premium. That's going to be the challenge. And if you do a great job of it, will the premium panel be up and running? Then obviously once you get premium panel going, then CTV is a part of that.
Out of home, I think out of home is relatively simpler. BARC has already embarked on this journey of out of home measurement, but the trick really is that more and more out of home avenues really need to be brought into the ambit of measurement. So this is not a difficult one. There have been advancements and there will continue to be advancements even on the hardware side, right? If you look at meters, the traditional meters which used to be there, which are placed next to the set-top box home, right? So today you have advances where meters are coming out in a new avatar, right? In advanced markets. You also have a mechanism where you can have automatic content recognition, ACR SDK, which is really embedded in the devices, and you can have data flowing in. I think this one is important. This is something which I've already talked about, that the big thing here really is that you need to have set-top boxes which are return path enabled. I'll skip this. We heard a lot about influencers in the last session, correct? I think having a systematic method, having an audited method, I'm calling it audited because all numbers need to be validated by an independent party. I think that is going to be critical, increasingly critical. I mean, we are all seeing the kind of role which these influencers are having in the biggest election, which is going to be unfolding soon. Shashi's already talked about this, that this is the biggest thing that we need to have on the table at the soonest. I think small steps, linear plus connected, then linear plus connected plus smartphones, and really build it on from there. Shashi also spoke about the fact that even on the IRS front, there is print, and then there is a important conversation which has been unfurled by Shubhadeep, who happened to be in the TechCom and who suddenly said, who let this cat amongst the pigeons, who said that we need to have a digital measurement we need to have a digital print measurement. So Satya calls it a printed print and a digital print. So we need to have that. I think this is yours.
No, talk about those. This is a big one. This is again, talk about it.
Okay, so this is media equivalence, right? This is a big one. So it is just not about figuring out that who's been reached on, say, a smartphone and who's been reached on a TV.
Bit of history on this. Sorry, I can't resist. I thought I'll sort of controversy. The great fun, when we first got into discussion of TV plus digital, this is the fight. The crux of the fight is 6 seconds on Facebook is equivalent of, he's gone, I don't know if he's in the room, 6 seconds on TV. Big debate, global norms. I mean, it sounds very logical, 6 seconds on TV and 6 seconds on Facebook, right? It sounds stupid, but anyway, whatever it is. The fun part was heated discussions for many, many hours with two of the key broadcasters, with the key broadcasters, two guys from that broadcaster. 6 months later, those guys joined. One was the head of Facebook, one was the head of YouTube, still there, Google. So I said, now what happened? Now this whole discussion, I said, you're arguing on logic. Now the logic is gone for a toss because now you're wearing the hat of what company you were from. So this requires you guys to crack it. Nitya, Shubhadeep, Chandan, other marketers in the room. Industry the platforms will obviously come from their point of view. The publishers will come from their point of view. And I give this live example. They're very, very good friends. I'm not saying it. Sanjay or Ajit were very nice guys. But they were so passionate about where they were coming from that mindset. 4-5 years back, before COVID, this discussion happened. And I unfortunately had this task of sitting in all those meetings and listening to everyone. And very bright guys, because they're trained from the University of Marketing, so they could argue their way in. But the agenda was different. So the logic could be anything, you know. Don't worry, I won't get into trouble, you know. She's worried about my health.
A little bit of ascription. I mean, it's good to have in an event that you have return part data available. In an event that you have it available, you will still not know who is the household, what is the profile of that household, who is in that household viewing that, right? So we will be relying on statistical modeling. There is a need to have a robust panel. There is already a currency panel which is existing, basis which one would be inferring who is behind the return path data which is really coming in. Okay, so what the return path data really gives you is that it is giving you what is the tuning behavior. Basis tuning behavior, you are actually predicting the likelihood of certain demographic being present in the household, right? This prediction has to be, because the household composition is not fixed, you can have all kinds of combinations which can be thrown in. The only point which is being made here is that there are advances which have been made world over, right, where techniques like neural networks are being deployed to do a ascription. Further challenge, and here we really dwell into the world of digital measurement, right, which is that, so this is about all kinds of data coming in together and how do you really deduplicate it. So the one thing which I want to stress here is that are all the necessary permissions, are all the privacy consent, is the necessary consent being taken? Let's not assume that. I've been in forefront of many conversations and where publishers have said, yes, we've got all the data and we'll be able to share the data. And the question that we've asked them is, okay, what are the kind of things? And then the legal team really from both ends gets into this big checklist of questions that whether you have this or you don't have it. And you know that it's always not perfect. And this is really the final slide, and this is not new to those who follow the WFA framework, right? And this is the ideal state. I do not know when we will get to that state, because we are clearly currently with all the pilots which are happening world over, we are really in the first box or maybe in the second box, right? So I'm going to be stressing on just 2-3 points here. One is that privacy is the hallmark of this thing. Any kind of data matching which is happening, right? It is saying that has to happen in an encrypted form. So that's number one. Okay. Number two, there is a huge need for a panel to be created. So we are not going anywhere away from the panel. So even if we have viewing logs coming in, we will need panel. And here, because we are talking about a cross-media currency, we will need a single source panel. And the moment we talk about things like single source panel, it's a huge investment, right? It has to be a representative panel. For a country like ours, it will have to be a panel of couple of thousands or maybe tens of thousands, right? The third step really is that there is a virtual ID which is created. A little bit of virtual ID. What is virtual ID? That bases all the signals which are really coming in from the platforms, right? You're trying to assign a unique number, which is a number. So virtual ID is not a person, as the name suggests. You're just trying to assign a unique number, right? And you have that VID which is created. And the final state again is that there is deduplication which is happening across platforms, say between a TV and digital, again in a secure environment where privacy is guarded. There is no raw data which is shared, right? All the computation which is happening, which is going to be giving us a deduplicated reach. But this is a state which, at least in my assessment, which is a couple of years away. And this is really the last one.
So I think I will only repeat the cost of repeating myself. We need your help to put it all together, make a unified. So for the researchers in the room, help us short term with helping us finding ways to recruit for our premium panel if we are struggling. Otherwise, we are ready to do, and that will take care of the CTV and the common measurement of CTV and high definition TV or whatever. But for the marketers in the room, do help. This unification of measurement in this country is a pipe dream, because it is led by publishers. No offense meant. They pay the money, they take care of their interest. You guys need to take control with your time and money. And finally, it's your money which is being spent on this 150,000 crore industry, ADEX or whatever it is. So that's my appeal to you. I'll keep making this appeal for all the time. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks, Mitali and Shubhadi, for getting us here.
Thank you.